Good afternoon, this is Oxinity Channel on Education. When it comes to role models, we all have one that has inspired you to embrace this profession. But when it comes to combining a success in teaching with a business success, we all have to look up at one person. This is James Drummond. So James is the flagship of Oxinity, the most successful representative of our community. Today, James is joining us in this talk to share how he achieved to a milestone in English teaching business. We are going to talk to James and also to Alex Johnston here in Barcelona, Rob Wiley, Graham Bell in Malaga, and Gracia Guzman. Hi guys, hello. My name is Radmila Gurkova, let's get started. James, first of all, welcome and thank you for accepting to share your experience with us. Your CV is really impressive. So you've trained and qualified as an architect in the first place. Then a professor of yours asked you to become a teacher, a university teacher. You did so successfully, so your teaching experience comes from there, probably. And you also led international projects related to architecture. Then you moved to Spain. And eventually you were leading a team, working across Europe and growing a team from 300 to 700 staff. But why don't you tell us how you decided to start and to join this project? What moved you to it?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation to join you today, and thank you very much for the kind words of introduction. I think you've said it in your introduction. I saw the opportunity to join a project, and I've spent my career building teams and doing interesting projects, from building buildings through to building teams. And so when I finished up the last project that I did, which I did over 5 years, traveling around 26 European countries, then I was thinking what to do next. I was actually in Berlin airport outside in November, and I thought, I just had an interview with a sports client, and my job was to look for sites around Asia and Germany and the UK. And I thought, whoa, I've done 260 flights in the last 4 years. And the last time I went to Shanghai, I was on the airplane for 17 hours. So I figured that I'd kind of like to spend some time in Madrid with people that I love and people that I want to be with. So I also had an idea that maybe this sports client project wouldn't last forever. So I came back to Madrid, and then I decided to try some teaching out, some English teaching, because really, having worked across so many European countries, then out of those 26 countries, I was thinking, well, how many of those are actually native English-speaking countries? Two of them. Mm-hmm. So I was well used to helping people and helping teams to communicate in English and say, hey, slow down, help each other, use the language as a communication tool, and let's all have a bit of respect and do business together. So I tried out some English teaching in Madrid, and I really loved it. And in fact, I had a client. One day I went to a client, and she said to me, hey, I really love your classes. And it just made me feel like really, really good. So I taught for 2 or 3 months, and then I thought, well, hang on, I'm doing like an hour. Now, spending an hour and a half preparing for the class material. So I thought, well, that's when I met Oxinity. And I thought, firstly, there is a whole range of gaps in my experience. I mean, I maybe know about building buildings and I know about some business issues, but I'm not really a trained teacher. So with Oxinity, then that gave me the opportunity to train with the TEFL program, which is a 120 hours program. And so I put myself down for that and started working hard at learning how to be a good teacher. And that was in July of 2016. And what I really loved was the sense of being part of something, being part of a project, being part of a team of professionals who had been in the business for 16 years were really experienced at helping you. I mean, one thing is throwing words out there. Another thing is actually structuring and teaching people how to communicate. In what I did after that TEFL training was I thought, well, I'm gonna really check that I've learned how to be a good teacher, and I spent a year going around clients pretty much 20 hours, 25 hours a week, with hours that were given out to me from Auxinity, and learning how to be a good teacher. So I made mistakes. I learned what to do, what not to do. But the most important thing was every time I went into class, I went in with a system, classes on a tablet, and I could then use that system to run the classes. And then we could use the system to check the clients, what we had covered in the class. And then we could analyze what they'd done and then give them new information for the next class. So the clients thought, this is fantastic. So every time I went to class, we had a new set of material, we had new topics to cover, vocabulary, structure, talking about current issues. And so I continued this idea of having like a good time teaching English. And what I really enjoyed was seeing the clients move on up in their careers. Because pretty much everyone who's wanting to learn English wants to learn English for their own personal objectives. And it just grew from there. And I just locked into the team. I had a great team of Auxinity around me. I didn't have to think about anything other than going to class and teaching. So I really, really enjoyed it. It's fantastic.
Excellent.
So that's how I started.
Yeah, so we've talked a bit about where you started, but at this point, you said you were very much enjoying it, but what were your expectations for the future? Did you have any, or what were your goals? Where did you see yourself going with it, down the road?
Well, my expectations were, I'm a businessman, and I've spent my whole career. I'm 54 years old, and I've spent my whole career building businesses, and I could just see that there was an opportunity here to grow a business, and that's what the team around me at Auxinity helped me to do. So my expectations, you can never take anything for granted in life, but my expectations were, hey, I can help, and there's a market here. But if I have to spend a lot of time preparing for classes, then there aren't going to be enough hours in the day. So I had to lock in and work with a team to deliver the product. And my expectations were, I don't know, I guessed, well, any business takes 3 years to build up. No exception. Your first year is, if you don't lose money, you're doing. And so I decided, okay, I'll spend the first year paying the rent and, covering costs. And then year 2, I would go for trying to multiply that income. I set myself a target of 2 times growth. Actually, I achieved 2.5, 2.6 times growth from year 1 to year 2. So my expectation going into it was that I was hard, but I was also going to have fun and enjoy it, and I was going to help people, because that's where I get my buzz. That's what I really love doing. So I just went in there and just hit the streets and went and helped people out.
James, I still remember when you first said, it was shortly after the course, I remember your words, I wanna make 5,000 euros with teaching, and that at that time it seemed really, really like a science fiction. Actually, well, but we'll talk about, you'll explain about it later. So, guys, Graham, do you have any questions? We can't hear Graham. Graham? Just a minute.
So we
lost you?
go on.
We lost you for a moment. Can you repeat your question, Graham?
No, you still run. I think so. Well,
In a-
what type of clients then, James, did you first target when you first started out? Did you have any specific target market? Was it sort of adults or schools, universities? What were you thinking?
Well, my business clients and working with clients who wanted to go further in their career,
Yeah.
and English is their basic tool. But interestingly, I actually started working with clients who I never expected to work with. I started working with students. I started working with a client. In fact, I had one call from somebody looking for a teacher to help with their young child. And I said, well, hey, I'm not an expert teacher for teaching young children. But then I thought, wait a minute, I got 2 kids, so I could probably, and I just spent the weekend with my 5-year-old nephew. So I said, hey, I'll give it a try. So I went and worked with a 6-year-old boy who within 2 months he's speaking English. It's incredible. So I guess my focus is on business because that's where the demand, I guess, is for people perhaps with my profile. But I went in really with an open mind.
Yeah.
Just anybody who was looking for a quality language experience and was prepared to train at it.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I had clear is I only wanted to work with people who really wanted to learn English.
Motivated, right?
And I know that sounds kind of like, a kind of obvious thing to say, but if somebody doesn't want to do something, they just won't do it. So I just wanted to train with people who really had the ambition and the need to, and the desire to improve their English. So, but yeah, if I answered the question a bit more specifically, then I got 95% of my clients in business.
Okay.
I got some private clients who, when I say private, I mean they're one-to-one, maybe freelance clients, but they're also in business, so they're looking to grow their business. I did do some training for students with their SO and helping them to understand texts, and again, I love that. It's great. It's great just to see someone look at a document, read it, say, hey, my teacher's given me this and I don't understand anything. And then you break it down and you read it, and then their eyes just light up and they go, so that's what that means.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just went with it.
There you go.
Gracia, I think you have a question for James too.
Okay, how does it feel to James?
A company owner, wow. I don't know, that's a very grand title for what I'm doing. I'm just forming part of a team of really, really great people at Oxinity. And I don't know, am I a company owner? Yeah, I suppose. I'm autonomous, and I'm just looking to build the network up using the teams that we've got here. And as I get busier and busier, because there's only so many hours in a week, then I really enjoy working with the other teachers in the platform. I mean, we've got 80 teachers, so it's a big platform to be able to share work out to. And so, yeah, a business owner, I don't know. I'm just part of the team.
Speaking of your team, where does this team come from, and how many people are part of this? How many people form part? I mean, you said it's a team of 80, but that can't 80 people within your team, or
No. Hey, I'm just a new start. No, I guess by the end of year 1, I had finished with needing to receive hours from Oxinity in terms of them saying, could you go and teach this client for us, and we'll pay you money. And so then I started to find my own clients, which means that I am then charging prices which are the price to the client. So then I can then start to take the role, if you like, what Oxinity did for me, and I'm continuing being Oxinity, which is the whole point. because I can then say, hey, I've got these hours, which I'll pass out to teachers. But I don't need to think which teachers. I let Gratia and others in the team decide which teachers get those hours, because all our teachers are fantastic. So they wouldn't be working with us if they weren't. So you can put the hours out to anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't even need to think if they're doing it for my client or working for my client or not. And in fact, it's very important that I don't think about that, because obviously I need to. But the Obscenity platform really allows teachers to let the team, the support team, look after the clients. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So then I just concentrate on teaching.
Sure. And so, what was the hardest thing? I think we have a question. What were the challenges that come through? And I had a question about that. So, what were the hardest things when you started? I mean, we all kind of make mistakes, I guess, when we're starting. So, what advice would you give to someone who's starting or thinking about starting?
Well, I guess I learn something new every day, and I think that we all do. And I think that the day that we stop doing that, we're losing an opportunity. So I guess what are the main mistakes that I made? Well, I'd say the main mistakes I made when I was training, doing my TEFL training, and that's the whole point of doing TEFL training, because I remember doing my first trial class, and my mentor, my tutor, was with me, and so I was with a very low-level class, and they were struggling to understand what the topic was about. So then I started trying to teach them the days of the week, because I thought, well, hey, this student doesn't know the days of the week. So, my teacher was sort of looking at me saying, what are you doing? And it was fine. The class was fine. Afterwards, she said, why did you go off script? It's in the, you've got the class material here. So, why did you do that? And I was like, well, I thought it would be helpful for them to know the days of the week. She said, of course it is, but that's not the agenda of this class. The days of the week are going to happen another day. So, and I was like, okay, all right. Like Matthew McConaughey says. That's when I learned to just stick with the script. And I think that's the biggest mistake I made, is to think that you can go off piste. Obviously, you have to. We're human beings. Otherwise, then it would be boring. But I think the most important thing is to stick to the script and remember that the system, the platform here, is designed to look after the teacher. It's designed to look after the client, but it's designed to look after the teacher. And I think the biggest mistake that you can make is not remember that at all times.
I think
it's really important.
It is. I think we have Graham back. But maybe now he can't hear us. It's okay. Graham, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
excellent.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes. Go ahead.
Brilliant. Hi there, James. I was wondering, when you said when you first started, did you target just, I think 95% you said of your clients are business? So did you just target business, or was it general students, kids? Where did you start?
It was important for me to build up a profile on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So I spent some time building those profiles up carefully, slowly. And by the end of year one, the main source of my clients was from LinkedIn. And in fact, I would have to analyze this. I think more contacted me, interestingly.
All right.
So I set my, if you like, I set my stall up and advertised what I was doing, and then people just started to see over the year that I was doing this business, and they started to contact me through LinkedIn and Facebook, and it's Instagram as well, and other platforms.
We've got a question.
Instagram.
Thank you.
We've got a question coming here that's quite relevant to that. Catherine was asking what you think is the most underrated skill when going after new clients or customers, when you are looking to get more students in. what do you think is maybe the most neglected or underrated part of this process?
I didn't quite get the kick back on the line. Get the underrated. Gracia, can you help me out with? Do you think the most underrated what?
The most underrated skill to get customers.
The most underrated skill.
To get customers, yeah.
Stay in front of them. Stay in front of them. Go and see them. Say hi, and be there. Be there. If you sit away from your customer, you don't get any. So the most underrated skill is not to network. Network is everything. Network on the social networks. Network going places. Network presentially. Just go talk to people. Just be friendly. Be, friendly face and availability, and that gets you business. And then if you're, good at what you do, then you get work.
What advertising tip would you share with who are starting now? What would be the social media that you really focus on, or the social network users?
Well, firstly, I would say that it's not so much the social network as you.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you really comfortable being? Because people go for you, not for necessarily a system or whatever. So if you're comfortable on Instagram, use Instagram. If you're comfortable on LinkedIn, use LinkedIn. If you want to use Pinterest or Tumblr or whatever. But in my experience, is LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Instagram.
So it's more about focusing maybe on one or two and really go for that one, maybe, rather than being every.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I spent at one stage. Then I've been through the alphabet 3 times, publishing one publication a day, starting with a different letter, totally random, and just explaining the word that I've chosen. And did a lot of people read it? But then you just be yourself. Be yourself on social networks. Be yourself wherever you. And the most important, actually, coming back to the question about what's the most underrated skill. Every time you meet somebody, don't think about yourself. Think, what can I do for this person? What does this person need? And how can I help this person? And that is the thing that we forget. We spend too much time talking about ourselves and not enough about listening to what the other person actually needs. What is this person's problem? Why do they have a problem with English? Their English sounds perfect. Then you might find out that they have a confidence problem in presentations. So you help them learn to present, and and if you're not in that, then find somebody who is, and then put them together as that person. So the most important thing is to listen and to just remember, you're a service provider. You're giving a service, and make it fun. Give everyone a laugh when they're learning English, and it's just human nature. If you have a good time, then you learn. And then I think also the other thing that I've learned is try and help people see that we are not like a magic wand, that we don't just go in once a week and then they're going to learn English. They've got to keep working. It's like gym training. It's like sports training, anything in life. Keep going during the week, keep reading, keep connected to English, which is, really that's up to the student. But if you can encourage them and say, hey, that's great, you read this book, or you sent me a text on a question or something, then, that's, again, use the system, put those questions into the notes page, and just, it's your own virtual office. So use it.
Excellent. Do we have more questions, Alex?
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions coming in here about your prior business knowledge before you started, and how far that got you with your business clients. So going into companies, and how much knowledge you had beforehand of those kind of environments and situations, and how much it helped you.
Yeah, well, that's a really good It helped me because right from the start of being a designer and presenting projects, then you have to be able to express yourself and explain things. And also, as you get experienced in business, then you learn how to present, you learn how to prepare yourself, and yeah, it did help me enormously. But I think that now there are so many opportunities for people to learn very quickly those skills, and really learn by doing. Go to network events, just learn how to talk about yourself. And my biggest piece of advice for learning those skills is use one word when you're talking to people, and it's you. Because if you say, "Hey, you, what do you do? What do you think?
Yeah.
Why are you here? What did you think of the presentation?" Hey, it just flies.
Excellent.
We have a question actually here as well, having to do with money. Probably many people
Okay.
have this this question too.
Sure.
And it says that if you have a fixed rate or are you flexible? So do you customize your prices? Do you change your prices depending on the customer, or do you recommend to have a fixed price all the time?
No, well, I have a target where I know how much I want to earn per hour, which is a minimum of 35 euros per hour. So that's how I work my business out. So my business is based on the minimum that I want to earn per hour is 35 euros. So when I start my business year one, then I would be earning per month between 1,600 to 2,000 per month for 20 to 25 hours of contact time.
Is that the
And
gross
now-
number? You had another question about that earlier. Is that gross?
Gross, yeah, gross. So that's gross. And now, year two, I've been consistently invoicing 5,000 per month gross. And that is because I'm starting to pass hours out to other teachers. So it's not all my time at 5,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like a 2.5 times factor growth per year. Whether that's sustainable for year three,
That's amazing. Yeah.
that's another day.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well,
One step at a time.
yeah. Well, I'm involved in TEFL training, and when I've got new trainees.
But yeah, no, I think. Sorry, I think if it helps anybody listening, then I don't negotiate price. There's no.
Yeah.
There's no. The price is a price. We as a platform, we work out the price, and maybe different times of the day, it's a different price. Obviously, if you're looking for class at difficult times for teachers, then the rates can vary. But that's the platform has established rates and
they work.
they work. Yeah, I mean,
That's a great advice, because some teachers tend to think that, okay, if I lower a little bit, because students bargain, if I lower a little bit my rate, maybe I get not with you. Excellent. Okay, so Rob, you want
no discount.
No discounts.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that,
Yeah, but maybe there is a benefit in loyalty from a client. If a client buys time with a long-term commitment, then they're going to get a better deal. It's like most things in business.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So what advice would you give them to someone?
Don't drop your price.
No, well, you don't want to do that. So often I find that trainees or new teachers are very kind of reluctant or hesitant to go down the freelance route. Maybe they see it as a bit difficult, a lot of work, risky. I imagine, like anything, when you're starting out a business, you do need a lot of work, but I guess it's worth it in the long run, right?
Is it worth it?
Yeah,
in
it's
long
the
run?
difficult and the risk maybe that people consider that there is at the start.
Well, if you want to be in time, if you want to work with who you want to work with, if you want to be able to say no and say yes to what you want to do, if you want to get the feeling of sticking your head out a window 120 miles an hour, and feel the wind in your face and get the thrill of running something that you really love. If you love that, do it. If you don't love it, don't do it. Simple as that. So, does it scare you? Hey, the whole world is an oyster, so everyone has to make their own decisions. But you look at the alternative.
James, we could continue talking to you for hours, but unfortunately we don't have much time. But that was really enlightening. Great talk. Many thanks. Big pleasure having you today. Many thanks to you guys as well for participating. And if you, those who watch us, want to follow James's example, don't hesitate. Contact us at toxinity.com. We'll see you next Friday. Bye. Bye.
Thanks.
Ciao, guys.
Bye bye.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye.